Hi, this is a tutorial that's going to be on the selection tools. They're generally, well, they're in this area right here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with the rectangular marquee tool right here, and I'm just going to make a selection on this square shape here. One thing, if I can move it around, and it's sort of, again, it's a rectangle, but if I want to make a perfect square, I just hold the shift key down and it constrains it to a perfect square. And then I can move right along the outside of that, and then I can hit the delete key. The reason I'm getting this dialog box is because this is actually a background layer, and a background layer cannot have a transparency, so I can have it fill with black, white, or gray. I'm going to make it fill with black so it'll be very obvious what's happening. So it filled it with black because, again, it can't have a transparent layer. I'm going to hit Command Z to undo that, and I'm going to select deselect, and I want to change this background layer to a regular layer. So I'm going to double click on it, and I get this dialog box, make it layer 0, and I can name it. I'm just going to call it shapes. Hit OK, and now it's a regular layer. So now when I delete something, it will delete from the, directly from the shape, and I'll see the little checkerboard background to show me that there's a transparency there. Okay, so now I'm going to click here and drag my fingers on the mouse button, and I'm dragging out, and then I'll let go on the outside of this square, and then I can hit delete, and now it's gone transparent. I'm going to go to select, deselect, or Command D, which I usually do, and you can see it's transparent. If I decide that I'm going to flatten this, it's off the screen here, but I'm going to flatten this image, and now this made it back into a background, turn this back into a background layer, and you can see that transparency turned to white. Since there was nothing else there, it made it white. Okay, so I'm going to hit undo so it's no longer a background layer, and then I'm going to go back. I'm going to open up my history panel here, and then just go back a couple of steps till till that's gone, till it's back to normal. Actually, I'm going to snap a picture so I don't have to keep going back and forth to that background layer. Okay, so that's my original background layer, and that's my background layer, and this is with the shape changed to a non-background layer. Okay, so now I'm just going to show a couple quick things. If I draw the shape out here, I can, let's say I'm going to draw a bad shape. I can use the shift key, the arrow tools to nudge it over. If I hit the shift key, it moves a little bit faster. I'm just going to hold the shift key, and you can see how it's moving a lot faster. So I can move it into place that way. I'm going to hit Command D to select deselect, or again select deselect in order to deselect that. And I'm going to draw a shape, and this time it's not in place. So I can hit the space bar, hold the space bar that is, and I can move this selection while I'm still drawing. So I can line it up, and then I can let go of the space bar. My finger's still on the mouse button, and I can move it out in place just like so. So that's another way that I can delete that area. I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to draw another marquee, another rectangular marquee. Say it's in the wrong spot, so now I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to hit select, transform selection. All right, and I get these this bounding box here where I can adjust the shape of that. So if I go the edge on the sides, I can move it this way or that way. Or if I go on the corner, I can move this diagonally and line it up in shape into place, get it just the shape that I want. And then I hit double click, and I just have my selection, delete, and it's gone. All right, so select, deselect. All right. Well, that was undo. Sorry, that was undo and then deselect. All right, so now I'm going to move on. I'm going to click, hold, and move over to the elliptical marquee tool, which is the circle. If I want to line this up, one quick way is I can go up here to my rulers and grab out some guides. And the easy way to do that, and then I can click at that where they're on the tangent. I can click right on that cross section, and I can drag out till it lines up. And I get my selection, delete. All right, undo, deselect. All right, I'm going to get rid of these guides. Let's see, would that be under view? Clear guides. Alright, so I've cleared my guides out now. And again, the only way you can get your guides is by going into the rulers. So that's how you get your guides. You just go up to the rulers, click, and drag out. And I'm just going to Command Z to undo that. All right, so now another way I'm going to make this circle is, again, this is when that tab, that space bar, comes in handy, because it's easy to line it up with a square, but when you're doing the circle, you got to kind of guess. And now I can use that space bar and move it around. I'm holding the space bar. My finger has not left the mouse button, pressing down on the left mouse, but the left button, and then I can get it into place and scale it how I want. And if I need to make it a perfect circle, I can hold the shift key. All right, and then we get it right into place. Delete. All right, so undo, deselect. All right, now I'm going to move on to the next one. We're still on the elliptical marquee tool. I always call it the circle tool. And there's a little dot in this shape right here. So I'm just going to move into this dot, and I'm going to click and drag. And you can see it's dragging out kind of, you know, it's not lining up right. But if you have a center section here, if I hold the Option key, it's going to drag this circle out from the center. Now if I hold the Shift key, it's going to drag out from the center, and it's going to constrain it as a perfect circle. So then I can line it up, I can let go of the mouse button, and I can let go of the other keys, delete. All right, so I'm going to undo, deselect. All right, these things here, up here in the options panel, with the options, these selection tools, I'm going to go back to the rectangular marquee tool, and right here, this one is just like the standard new selection. Okay, this is the standard default. But remember, this is sticky, so if you change this and you go back to make a new selection, this might kind of confuse you, because these things they stay where you leave them. So remember to either put them back or remember to watch them. Pay attention to where they're at when you start doing another selection. Okay, so this is new. So if you see, every time I click, this is making a new selection. All right, and there's one thing I almost forgot. Okay, so I'm gonna, before I go into this, I'm gonna talk about this. If I make a selection and I'm on any of these these selection tools, I can click and move that selection, you know, into another place. I can click on the Lasso tool and I can still move this around. But if I click on the Move tool, it's gonna rip a hole in it. Okay, so wherever I go, if I make a new selection, let me hit deselect. It's going to I'll make that selection. Again, I can move it around the selection. I click on the arrow tool, and it's gonna move the object, okay, with that selection. All right, so I'm just gonna go to my history panel here and just go back a few till I can clean this back up. All right, close my history panel and select deselect. And this history panel comes out. If I hit Essentials, it usually appears right here. Or if I hit Essentials Reset, if I've made some changes, I can get it back, and this will always be here. Okay, so I'm going to show how you notice this options panel is different right now. So when I click on my selection tool, it changes. All right, so now we're back here where we have these options for the selection tools. All right, so I'm going to click on the square, and I'm going to move over to this next one. You can see it's two squares joining each other, which if I hover over there and don't move my mouse, it says add to selection. All right, so first I'm going to just start off the normal way. So say I made a selection here, and I want to join the rest of the shape. There's some key commands that I can do that. Let me see, if I hold the Shift key, you see I got a plus sign. I'm going to let go of that, and I'm going to use this option here. Okay, so I can either hold the Shift key and get this, or I can click up here. I prefer the key commands, because by using the key commands, they're not sticky. I just hold it down, I get the tool that I want, I let go, and it moves away. Here, they stay. So, okay, I'm going to click here, and you can see my cursor has a little plus sign next to it. There's the crosshairs, and then there's the plus. But here, I'm going to move out here, because if I start here, I have to guess as to where that point is. So I'm going to start over here. I'm going to click on the outside of that, and then I'm going to let go. And again, this is add to selection, so you see they've joined. Delete. It's gone. All right, I'm going to hit that's undo and deselect. But the thing is, say if I'm drawing, this is still on add to selection. It's fine. But then every time I keep drawing, it just keeps adding to this. So that's one of those things that can kind of stumble you up, you know, if you don't realize what's going on. What's happening? So then I hit delete. All right, so I'm going to undo, deselect. All right, this I'm going to go back to the basic default, just new selection. I'm going to put a selection around this one. All right, draw a square around that. and then I let go. And now I'm going to move over to the subtract from selection tool. Okay, so now you can see on my cursor there's the crosshairs and then there's a minus sign next to it. So I can click on here and there we go, and now it's removed this area. So this is my selection, this purple area. It cut a hole in this, and I can see that when I hit the delete key, because you can see if I hit deselect, you can see it cut a hole here and it left this area here. Alright, so that's the, let's see, undo, okay, and deselect. Alright, so now if I do this with the, it's on the subtract, you notice I can just cut little chunks out of this. Alright, actually I can just it gets wacky when I cover the whole thing, but let's say the first one, it'll allow me to do it, and then from there I start cutting pieces. That's a hole, and then I just cut these little pieces. So that's the minus. Okay, and I just hit deselect. Alright, so I'm gonna make another shape, and then you see, well, actually I'm gonna deselect that. Alright, I'm gonna make a shape again, and again I can start it out here or go here, and this is the, I believe, intersect with selection. Alright, so now I'm gonna make that second. You can see it's showing you the kind of shape it's gonna make. It's got two boxes, and all it's leaving is the place in the middle where they cross. So okay, so I'm gonna draw that out, and then it left that place where they crossed. So now I'm gonna make an even smaller place where they cross. If I do this, let's see, it just makes a square. You know, it's just leaving the places that they cross. Deselect. Okay. Whoops. See, they didn't intersect, so it's telling me no pixels were selected. They didn't intersect, so it's getting kind of screwy here. Okay, so that's that tool. Now I'm going to move on to the Lasso tool here. We have the Lasso tool, the Polygonal Lasso tool, and the Magnetic Lasso tool. The Lasso tool is really nice. I'm going to move up here to the circle because you can use these with other selection tools. So say I don't recommend you do this, but just hypothetically, say I made a selection with the circle, with the elliptical marquee tool, and I don't like it. I can actually, and again, this works with any selection. I'm just using this for example. I don't recommend you work this way, but say you're working this way. Say you, okay, so I'm going to add a square out. Whoops, deselect. I'm going to hit the rectangular marquee tool, and yeah, I'm going to put it on plus. And I'm going to add a little square out here, a little square out here, a little square out here, and one here. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the Lasso tool. And right now, again, we have these options up here. I'm going to go to the subtract selection, and I can just get rid of this extra stuff. You see where I missed that? It made a small little piece there, but I can get rid of all of this stuff out here very quickly. So if I make a selection, or say if I select something with the magic wand tool and it leaves some garbage over here, I can just take the magic wand tool and remove that. But you can see I can draw in here, it'll take a chunk out of that. Or okay, so I want to take this clean this area off here. I can remove that and say I want to add to it again. I'm on a Lasso tool, and it started out as a circle again. I don't recommend you use it this way. I'm just giving you examples of how you can add to a selection. So say the magic wand tool is missing one little bit of something that you want to get. You can always go in and add to it this way, or you can subtract. Okay? All right, deselect. And what is next? Okay, now comes the Polygonal Lasso tool. Again, I tend to use this interchange with key commands when I'm using using these tools. I just keep it on the regular Lasso tool. But say I draw a circle. Okay, so this one, say you have something really complicated. You can just I'm just click, let go, click, let go, click, let go, and this is the Polygonal Lasso tool. I mean, if this was something really intricate, if you do it very carefully and don't take long steps, you really can't tell so much that I'm not making a perfect circle, you know, because I'm just making short little steps. And again, if I were doing this and not pushing for time, I'd probably be making, say, 3 times as many of these circles. I'd probably be moving like this just to move along. And when I get to the end, you see that little circle, that little dot that forms. I'm going to go up. There's the dot. Goes away. Little circle goes away. when I get there, I click and it'll close that intersection. And that's actually not a terrible selection. Deselect. All right, it left a, let's see, it left a little red down here. I'm going to deselect. But again, let's just go to the lasso tool. I'm going to put it on the plus, and let's see if we can catch that. Okay, so we've gotten that extra little bit. Okay, undo, deselect. Okay, and this is the magnetic lasso tool. Well, actually, before I go into that, I'm going to show you the lasso tool. If I'm drawing with the lasso tool and then I hold the option key, I can then I let go. I hold the option key while I'm in making my. I'll start over. Deselect, because I have to make sure and clarify exactly what I'm doing. I click. I hold my finger on the mouse button, on the left mouse button. It's down, and as I'm drawing, I stop. My finger is still on the button. Now I'm going to hold the option key down. I'm going to let go of my finger off of the mouse button, and you see it turned into the Polygonal Lasso tool, and then I can click. I click, I let go, and then I'm going to click and hold my finger on the mouse button, then I'm going to let go of the option key, and I start drawing again, and it changes back to the regular lasso tool. That may be a little confusing, so you have to practice doing that. I'm going to do it don't go through it quickly one time. So okay, so I'm going to draw. I click, my fingers on the mouse button, and I'm drawing a shape. I stop because I know here I want to change, so I hold my finger on the option key, and then I let go of the mouse button, and it changes to the Polygonal Lasso tool. I can just click, 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 and then I get to a spot that I want to stop at, so I click and I hold, because if I let go, it's going to release the selection, and then I let go of the option key, and I keep dragging, keep drawing, and when I get right here, it's just going to close. Either I can move right to where it meets, or I can just let go and it'll automatically close. So that open spot is just going to jump to this area right here. Okay, and again, if I don't like that little chunk sitting out here, I click on the subtract, and I can just remove that little bit right there. Okay, deselect. All right, so now I'm going to go over to the magnetic lasso tool. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so I can see what I'm doing a little better. The magnetic lasso tool, I'm just going to click, and I'm holding my finger down on the button, and what it's doing is attaching to this line because of the contrast. So it's contrasting between the blue and the white. If you have a very contrasty area, it works very nicely. All right, let's see if I can do this while I'm in the middle. No, I can't do that in the middle of my selection. Okay, so if you see I got a little sloppy there and moved it off. And then when I get right to the end, I'm going to get that little circle telling me it's going to close. You see that little circle right there saying it's going to close the selection. And there we go. Okay, deselect. All right, so say, again, if I'm drawing along this area, I'm just going to cut across here just to save some time. And I'm getting almost to the end, and I'm going to go up here. Because you can see a problem people get into, if you let go too soon, this is going to happen. I let go of the button, and it just goes nuts. So just hit the enter key, and it will close. So I'm going to deselect that. I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to let go of that button again. And again, I got problems, hit the enter key. All right, so two ways you can fix that. I'm going to go around again. I get here at the end, and I'm just going to move right up to, you see where it closes? I got that little circle. It's okay. I let go, and there's my selection. Deselect. I'm going to go around again and show you the other way. Is all you have to do is get close, and then just hit the enter key. So I'm going to move up, around, and I'm close. And sometimes you just can't find it. You know, you can't get that spot. So you're kind of moving around trying to get it. Where is it? Where is it? So just let go. But don't go too far, because it's going to start following you all over the place and making all these crazy lines. Just hit enter, and it'll close it up nicely. Another thing, okay, I'm going to deselect. Now, something that you'll see in other tools, I'm going to hit the keycaps. Let's see, the keycaps. All right. Oh, the caps lock. All right, so you see my cursor change from that magnetic lasso tool into, but it's still over here says it's on the magnetic lasso tool, which it is. So I'm going to hit my right bracket key. That's next to the P key. You have left and right bracket. Hit left, it gets smaller, right, it gets bigger. And this is giving me a specific area, showing me exactly the area that is selecting. So say if you're working on something and it's too tight, and you start, say you have a large selection area and it keeps jumping on the wrong line, you can reduce the size of your the selection area, but usually you just can't see it on the tool. But if you hit the keycaps, you can see it. So I made this rather large, so again, so I can follow along really quickly and make this selection without, I can relax. I don't have to be so specific. I can see the area, you know, I can move all the way up here and I can still see it's going to snap to that line if I'm, you know, or if I'm way over here. Now let's see if I move out a little. See, it's still going because this is pure white, so there's nothing else. It's really magnetically sticking to this line, but I have to be careful. If there was a stray pixel, it might snap to that stray pixel with me drawing way out here. Okay, so I'm going to move in and just go ahead and finish it up. But see, the reason it lost the line is because I went too fast and I got ahead of my computer. The faster your computer is, the faster you can go. If you have a slow computer, you have to go slow enough so it can keep up, or else it's going to do some funky things. And then when I get to the end, I'm going to line it changed. As soon as I got there, it automatically switched over to the normal lasso tool, and it gave me that little circle telling me it's going to close. Let go, and it's good. All right, so I'm going to hit my keycaps again, and it goes back to this tool, and I'm going to hit deselect and move over to here. All right, here, actually I've already been through the Polygonal Lasso tool, but that's what I put this one in here for, is to show the Polygonal Lasso tool. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time since I got ahead of myself and went over this already, so I'm just going to skip over to the end here, just cut half of it, and I'll click, and then you can see if I line up on that section, click, it's good to go. All right, deselect. Hang on. We'll say also if I'm using this, I have this plus minus add to selection. So if I want to continue this, I put it on the plus to add to selection, and I can continue adding to the selection. I'm just going to do this really sloppy because, you know, to keep this going quickly. And then I'm going to go up here, because if I cut it down here and try to go across, I just might leave a very thin line here. So I'm going to click up here so it'll jump across, straight across to here, and I'll be sure to collect all of this area. So I'm going to go up here, and then I'll double click, and it closes up, and I can hit delete, and I got all that area. All right. So okay, I'm just going to go back to my history panel and go back a few spaces, deselect. All right. Close up the history panel. All right, now here's something. This is a really cool trick here. Say if I was using if I was using the magic wand tool, actually I didn't go into all of these tools here. I'm just gonna briefly touch on the quick selection tool. The quick selection tool, actually I could go in here and catch a lot of these areas. That actually does work, because I'm just sort of dragging into this area. But then it's so thin. Come on, there we go. It's so thin, I might slip and go outside this area here. Because actually I'm going to let go. Hang on, let's see. Okay, it was kind of lagging behind the machine. But you can see it's really difficult because these lines are so thin. But okay, it's really taxing my computer here. But say I'm just going to mess it up here real quick, just so you can see something. So say if I accidentally click in this white area. Come on. Okay, so you see it picked up some of that white area. I'm going to make the tool a little bit larger by using the right bracket key. And you can see there's a plus sign in there. And now if I hold the option key, I can make that a minus and just drag back into that area, and it goes away. Okay, yeah, this is my computer really doesn't like this. It's taking a lot of memory here. Okay, so the nice thing about the quick selection tool, again, I'm not going to go into this too much, because it's a little bit more involved, but you can see the normal quick selection tool, new selection, and you have plus and minus. But I tend to work with this where if I go too far, hang on, I'm going to hit deselect, I'm going to move over here, I hit the plus area, okay, and drag around, and if I go too far, I get that area here, I just hold the option key, which would be the same as clicking on that, and I can drag back in this area and remove that part of the selection. And this works really nicely on detailed selections. Okay, so now I am going to move over to this thing. I'm going to hit deselect to get rid of that selection here. A really good way to select this is to click out here I'm using a rectangular marquee tool to draw a box around this selection, and then I'm going to go to the magic wand tool. Magic wand tool, and I want to put the magic wand. It was actually on the minus, on the subtract from selection right here. Okay, so I've already drawn this, and I'm going to go to the magic wand tool and click minus selection, and it selected this area inside. Okay, and I can delete that, deselect perfectly. Okay, so I'm going to do that again. I'm just going to hit the history panel, go back a couple of steps. All right, close that up. I'm going to hit the rectangular marquee tool, draw my little box. I'm going to go to the magic wand, and again the magic wand is already on subtract right here from the options panel, and I click there, and it selects this or deselects this space that was already selected, which makes it snap around this object here, and then I can hit delete and it gets rid of that perfectly. And that's it. I mean, I didn't go into the quick selection tool very much. I was trying to stick with the easier of the selection tools, and that's it.